Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So today I want to do a quick discussion video on some budget options for some Battle League Pokemon for a lot of new players who are getting into it and wanted to know what are some nice picks that are meta relevant still that aren't going to break that Stardust bank. So there's 3 requirements for making this list for these 5 Pokemon. First, of course, being the accessibility of them. So a lot of these Pokemon are going to be able to get are just spawning around currently right now or have been spawning previously, so you can just go out and catch it for candy if you don't already have it. 2 is that I'm going to keep a moderate Stardust cost so that you're not like spending hundreds of thousands on each of these Pokemon. Some of them even do have 3rd evolutions so that you can power them up for cheaper. And then lastly, I'm going to keep out move exclusive Pokemon. So a lot of people who are incoming haven't done some community days, maybe don't have access to elite TMs. So we are going to have to leave a lot of the starter ones off the list. So with that being said, let's get right into the first pick. So for number 1, we are choosing Obstagoon. So Obstagoon is considered more of a fighter in this meta right now, with its main move being counter. So Obstagoon, you could actually get the Galarian Zigzagoon just off of a 7-kilometer egg. And honestly, Zigzagoon is a very, very common Pokemon, so you can definitely pick it up anywhere. And at a 3rd evolution, it's pretty cheap to power up to 1500, as well as get the second move at, I believe, only 25k. So the major wins that it picks up is something like a Galarian Stunfisk. So being that it, with the counters, is doing massive damage, and the Night Slashes are giving you a potential boost for the attack and able to just honestly sweep endgame. And as a fighter, it uniquely is able to take on something like a Skarmory, as it doesn't take super effective to the flying type attacks. And of course, being Bastiodon, Umbreon, and then the Night Slashes for Alolan Marowak. Interesting thing here, even for the Azumarill, if you notice, for Obstagoon and Azumarill, when you run the Gunk Shot, you honestly, even though it is still a losing matchup, look at the damage on that Gunk Shot and trying to land one, not counting the fact that you could potentially even get a boost for the Night Slash. Of course, in a lot of situations, you're going to have to work around shield baiting and whatnot, but even if you have to push it towards endgame, choosing a Pokemon like this that can potentially give you an out to a win is the right way to look at it. So even though, yes, it does lose something to an Azumarill, it does have an opportunity to win. So that'll be our first pick on this list. Second being, honestly, one of my current favorite Pokemon to use in the Battle League for the Great League right now, being Shiftry. I've used this Pokemon so many times already on a lot of my videos. If you haven't seen those yet or want to check out how Shiftry does play, you can definitely check out the playlist for the Road to Rank, and it's featured quite a few many times. So coming in here, Shiftry being the key beats the core meta of Azumarill and Galarian Stunfisk. So it's able to pick up those 2 crucial wins, especially when you put it in the back line, and is able to wipe out a lot of the Mud Boys, being the Wishcash or the Swampert, and is even able to counter a lot of its counters, being like something like an Alolan Marowak or a Drifblim, and is so great and hits so hard. And it happens that even if you do have the Shadow, potentially can be even better for you. Shiftry also, C-Dots have spawned quite frequently, and has even had a featured community day, although the move that we're currently using for it is Snarl over the community day Bullet Seed. It does have some play even towards something like an Umbreon and a Deoxys, being its, I guess, key losses here, in that the Shiftry can still hit the Deoxys for a lot of damage with that foul play, and even for the Galvantula, hitting it with that foul play again, just because of how spammy Shiftry is. So later on end game, especially for a lot of teams, and I've featured this a lot of times, teams right now featuring both the Galarian Stunfisk and the Azumarill, having that Shiftry will be very crucial. And it's not that expensive of a investment, being that it is a 3rd evolution and can get to 1500 relatively cheap, and I believe a 50k for the second move. So 3rd Pokemon in here is Toxicroak. So Toxicroak is a very, very strong fighter. Of course, you want to keep that counter on that move set, And of course, if you keep it on the lead, it'll be able to take out a lot of things, being that Galarian Stunfisk and the Bastiodon. And honestly, even for the Bastiodon double grass lineups, the Toxicroak resists the Smackdown and the rock type moves from the Bastiodon, but also can resist a lot of the grass type moves from the other ones as well. So it does have some play against a lot of those Bastiodon double grass teams as well. Of course, it's able to take out a lot of tanks in the meta, which is a key thing for it, being the Stunfisk, the Bastiodon, the Umbreon, and even Obstagoon being pretty bulky as well. And honestly, for Obstagoon and Toxicroak actually is able to beat out many of the other fighters in the meta, because it's with the poison typing is able to resist the counters that come back at it. And of course, over here on the key losses side, it still has a lot of play against these. Even for the Azumarill, you have the Sludge Bomb. And if you're able to land a Sludge Bomb on an Azumarill, even late game, you can potentially knock it out. So on an energy lead, this thing does have some play to be able to win, which is the amazing part of it. And that's the one thing that I try to get a lot of people to think about, is how a lot of these Pokemon, even though on PvPoke might, lose, there are certain win conditions that it can have against a lot of its own counters. And that's something good to think about for these budget options as well. And of course, it does do decent damage against something like a Skarmory with those neutral for the counters, and can hit a Lowland Marowak at least fairly decently with the Mud Bombs as well. So in a lot of these situations, even though Toxicroak is a little bit on the squishier side, it can dish out a lot of damage and can close games. So coming in here, we are choosing the Alolan Marowak, and Alolan Marowak has seen a good amount of play on my channel as well, having that Fire Spin definitely on the lead, just because not a lot of the Great League meta does use fire types. So to be able to counter the Galarian Stunfisk and the Azumarill, there's a lot of grass types out there. So having something like this Alolan Marowak with something like a Fire Spin can take out, like a Victory Bell or a Skarmory fairly easily, so that you don't have to worry about it. And of course, it does take out the Skarmory. It does take out one of the key new additions to the meta, being Galvantula, which is huge just because of how fast Galvantula can charge up energy. And of course, it gives you an out to Deoxys Defense, resisting that counter. And if you're able to land the Shadow Ball, it'll just basically delete it. And then of course, the Abomasnow would never want to see a fire type. And then even for the key losses, the Galarian Stunfisk, it still takes a decent amount of damage from that Fire Spin, as well as it'll take super effective from the Mud Bombs. So still has an out to that, and still decently does well against the Bastiodon as well, with the same situation. Of course, it will have some very, very heavy walls, being the Altaria and the Whiscash, and honestly the Azumarill as well. Even if you do land the Shadow Ball on those, it'll do fairly good damage, but still, that might be tougher for that. So you want to line up your back line to counter those for the front. And lastly, of course, for Alolan Marowak, it has been on raids for quite a while, a little bit before now, as well as was in GoFest. So you might have been able to just straight catch multiple Marowaks, as well as it being in the Go Rocket Stops. You could have quite a few Cubone candies as it is. So definitely that one is a good pick for something like this. And then lastly, for number one, for this set of 5, I have chosen Sunny Cherrim. And Sunny Cherrim, guys, is honestly a fire type masked as a grass type. That Weather Ball with that Bullet Seed combo is so spammy, so spammy. And it is able to take out things like this Azumarill, like the Galarian Stunfisk and the regular Stunfisk, and is able to hit back at a lot of the grass meadow as well, just because it can take neutral from the grass type hits and then hit back with that Weather Ball. So definitely a very, very usable Pokemon. And even on this side, with the Skarmory, even though yes, it does take super effective from all the flying type moves, it is able to hit back though with that Weather Ball, hitting honestly pretty hard to that Skarmory. As well as if you're running for the Altarias, you can potentially run Dazzling Gleam on there, and landing a Dazzling Gleam on an Altaria will be able to do massive damage on it and potentially give you an out to these, as well as the Galvantula with the Weather Balls. So even in these losing matchups, you still have some play. So you're not completely walled out to all of these. So this is kind of my thought process in when I kind of construct my teams for this. Is a lot of the Pokemon that I do choose have some kind of an out to some of their counters, so that they're not completely walled and you're not in a bad position where you are getting farmed down. So this is the top 5 here for the budget picks, and definitely if you have a chance, give these a try. Look at some team comps for them, and kind of just compile a way that you can build a relatively cheaper team just to be able to get into the Go Battle League as soon as possible, because the more games you play, the better you'll get regardless. So thank you guys for tuning in to the video. If you liked the 5 picks, definitely drop us a like, and if you want more discussion videos like this, definitely leave a comment below so I know, so I can make more of them. And of course, we post very frequently every single week, so tune in for more, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.